In my task, why Jojambushi unique? It is in that we promote African culture by playing both local and regional music. We also have a test for musicians whereby when the musicians upload their the fans are able to listen to their music and hence their work is well known. We also provide training information of both musicians and producers to our fans. Our future plans is to improve our app to accommodate the visually impaired by using speech commands. For those who do not own smartphones, we could also get access to Jojambushi music through via SMS.
For the Pauline team, I am Joyhan.
I am Jasmine.
I am Maureen Jogu.
And I'm Sheila Ann.
We are
Jojambushi.
Logo, and then this is where everyone sign up, and then you can put your own details, and then it goes next, and then it brings you to where you can choose your category, whether you're a musician, producer, or fan.
So thank you for that presentation. I really enjoyed it, and I saw the demo outside. So I'll just speak more to that. It's really impressive how you have designed the application so that it feels easy to use, and also that you've considered the three different aspects like a producer, a musician, and a fan. I thought that was really interesting. I would encourage you to think about how to keep users on the app. I think I also mentioned this to you outside. One issue that streaming and sites like yours face is illegal downloads and illegal downloads. So how do you make the music in such a format that they have to use your app to access it? But as someone who really loves art and music, I really appreciate the effort in trying to make sure that artists get paid for their work, and I think a lot of people will appreciate that. So think about how to protect the work of the artists. And again, sustainable revenue stream. Is it going to be adverts? Do you want people to pay for it and things like that? But overall, great presentation, great energy, and I can't wait to see what comes out of this.
So up next we have another team from Kenyan Schools for the Visually Impaired who are also providing a Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Caroline Winya.
I'm Charity Sang.
And we are Chaka Access Signal. Our tagline is accessibility for all. This is where we practice inclusive design.
Yeah, according to the statistics of World Health Organization, who live with visually impaired. And as you all know, there are millions of websites here in Kenya, but they are not accessible for the visually impaired. The problem we are trying to solve is an inaccessible website for the visually impaired. Yeah, in this website, the existing website, the color contrast there is not friendly to the visually impaired. I mean that the color is poor. The images which are in the existing website, they are not described. And also the links are unreachable for the visually impaired, and heading labels are not structured. We therefore came up with a solution where in our website we make sure it is accessible by describing all the images, making sure that all the heading labels are well structured and the links are reachable, and even there is a choice to choose the color which is friendly to them.
Our competitors. In Kenya, we don't have any designers who can audit and design any accessible web for the visually impaired. Our target in Kenya, we are targeting Kenya Equity Bank, where over 30,000 people who are visually impaired use their product.
You might ask yourself, how are we going to gain our revenue? In Chaka Access, we'll gain revenue by auditing the existing websites to make them accessible by the visually impaired, and also designing accessible websites for the visually impaired by following the accessibility guidelines. You might also ask yourself why Chaka Access is better. This is because we audit and design accessible websites catering both the visually impaired, the total blind, and the low vision.
Our future plan to advance in other programming languages like Java, PHP, and Python, and also to partnership with Braille Text Survey in order to improve the mastering of the keyboard.
Pauline teams, I'm Charity Samba, lead developer.
I'm Caroline Minya, accessibility tester.
We are Chaka Access Signals, and thank you.
Thank you for the wonderful presentation. Clap for the
Images not selected, row 1, column 1, 1 of 5. Items view list. Index.html, row 10, column 232. Untitled Google row 1, column 1. Accessible online hub for the visually impaired and .o.h.b. Combo box collapse low vision color contrast change heading level 1 accessible online. Combo box collapse low vision color contrast change. Expanding flex low vision. Live on flat rate of block. Accessible online hub. Combo box collapse low vision color contrast change heading level 1 accessible online hub for the visually impaired. .o.h.b. Separated. Home visit InChallenge. Causes. Workers. Assessment. Institutions. Technology. Sports. Career visit. Access. Gallery visit. Accessible online hub for the visually impaired. .o.h.b. Combo box collapse low vision color contrast change head. This is a picture of a braille machine used by the visually impaired to write. Rapid.
Thank you, Charity and Caroline. Specific, I think you went through all the items extremely well. You are focused, you are very targeted because you already have identified your clients, and the fact that you have about them is also wonderful to see. Something I think you've also just made aware for, and I think should also be addressed in the industry generally, is to that aspect of having websites that are not also addressing people who are visually impaired. Talking to you earlier, there are some tags that you can include in websites that would then address some of the items that you're trying to look at. So I think this is something that's generally in the industry, those who develop websites should incorporate more features on those pages that will then enable those who are visually impaired to also access that particular content. But well done, and I think you're onto a very good project.
Yeah, so just to add on that, again, I know that this is a very real problem in the industry, and we know that I've worked with corporates before that were actively looking for the consultants to help them to make their websites and their apps more accessible. I know M-Pesa recently just launched M-Pesa for the visually impaired, so it's a problem that the industry is trying to solve, so that's very well done. And also just regarding your revenue model, apart from audit, I see aspects of training. So for example, working in a company that trains software developers, I would want someone to come in and tell them, this is how you build apps, this is how you build websites for accessible websites. So I think just training will also be an aspect of how you can make revenue. So very well done, very proud of you.
So up next we have the room heater, an option for
Good afternoon. I am Javan James.
I am Doris Candy.
And our company name is the Remedies Heaters Company. Our problem is, we saw that a lot of people suffer during cold season, and a lot of them, they encounter diseases such as pneumonia, asthma, and a lot of kids, they may have encounter difficulty in breathing. So we decided to come up with a solution of building up of a simple room heater, whereby this room heater will be generating the heat into the room to keep the room warm, to avoid all the challenges that they face.
Our targets are the community and parents. How many? If you are a parent, just lift up your hand. Yeah, that's well and good. So you parents, you are our first target. In places that your children they are most affected, so they don't have that money to buy the simple heater. You are the one to buy for them. And in community, it implies that as we sat down and we started from where we live. I come from Burundi, my friend from Wanyuki, my friend from Embu. And those places, let me tell you, they are really cold places. And so, there are people who live there and they have low income. They cannot manage to buy those big machines. So they have to buy this our room heater. So as Remedies heaters, we are the one and they are our targets. Our revenue streams. I know you are just asking yourself, and you are in my dilemma. What is revenue streams? And revenue streams, we are the sellers. We are the one who sell to them and they buy to give us a revenue. So you are our source of revenue. That's good.
Our competitors. Obviously, our competitors. We have Rindam Company. Rindam Company, there is an electrical heater to warm the home. We have the space heater manufacturers. They also use a space heater which uses a fan to warm the room.
Why our product is better than others? Let me tell you, our product is better simply because it is cheap and affordable. For the cheap, it is not that expensive like those, let's say, Euro, Chinese. We just make them and affordable to buy them if you are low income. So, I guess you are low income because you are not getting that high income. I want to ask you parents, I want to ask you, who is paid $1 million a year? All of you here. Judges, are you paid $1 million a year? Parents, that's why we have constructed this single room heater. So I will come in your home, I want to form single room heater. I don't want to form We are planning to make it more technological. This is whereby it will be on for both seasons. Let's say, for example, it is a hot season. All the fan which will be functioning, which will be circulating cold air in the room. And if it is cold season, now the room heater is the one which will be working. Our founding team, I am Doris Candy.
I'm Javan James.
I am Caroline. So audience, this is the prototype which we made and the first one. So parents, judges, when I'm coming home, first thing I want to report is a single heater. So watch and eat.
as it was, but for now it was.
So this is our room heater, whereby this solar will be absorbing light from the sun, transfer it to the battery as a direct current. Then from the battery will transfer it to the inverter, whereby inverter will change the direct current from the battery into the alternating current, which is AC, because this room heater can't use a DC. Then inside here, you see there is a bulb, but these are the 100 watts. But in future, we need to make, this is just for demonstration, because for a bulb to heat and to produce that warmth, it's supposed to be 1,500 watts, whereby we will need a large solar and a large battery capable for this. Then, in between here, there will be a fan, whereby when the bulb are on, they produce heat. Then the fan will be rotating, blowing the warmth out into the room, and then your room is warm.
Simple. You see? Thank you.
I think it's just a comment. I'm happy that you considered making temperature regulation accessible and affordable, because especially in Africa it is something that has been made a luxury. Like very few people can afford that. So I love the fact that you made this affordable for any common man to access.
Thank you.
Thank you for the very convincing presentation. Just 2 pointers. Number one, maybe also you could consider adding a thermostat, because in as much as you want to heat, maybe you also want to cool, right? Because maybe you want the fan to run without the heater coming on. You talk about, and I think I mentioned this also to you outside, the bulb capacity of 1,500 watts, then you need a much bigger solar panel and a much bigger battery. And a bulb like that is now becomes a different challenge, because that's really a lot of heat and maybe almost wasted light. Think a little bit more about where you get the heat source, because I believe in the homes that you're trying to heat up, maybe they already have a heat source at another location. It might be considering how you transfer the heat or distribute the heat around the house. But good idea.
All protocols observed. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon once again.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. My name is Peter.
My name is Jaja. I'm Kennedy.
My name is Jeff. And we are here to follow the project calendar.
Can you imagine a disease that kills within 24 hours? We have it. Those are the problems that you have to present. Those are the problems that we are trying to solve. According to our organization, the research says that over 1.3 to 4 million cases are due to cholera, and 21,000 to 143,000 deaths are as a result of cholera worldwide yearly. And other problems that we are trying to solve are poor sanitation and general cleaning.
Actually, what motivated us to start the project was that there was an outbreak of cholera in our school, and therefore the students suffered a lot. And the teachers and the parents used a lot of funds in order to treat the students. So we decided to take an interview from the clinical officer, and he told us that the students suffered because they failed to wash their hands with soap. So we decided to come up with a solution of making a natural organic soap that will help them to prevent cholera, and also that is good for their life, because the ingredients used to make the soap is friendly to the environment.
So you may imagine the target market that we are measuring on. Our main target are the students, teachers, and even the sports staff. You may ask yourself, why? Is it the students, teachers, and the parents? This is the main reason. The problem that we are trying to solve majorly affects the student, teachers, and the parents.
Okay, our competitors are the existing soap making companies such as the grounded company Nairobi, and you may ask yourself why our soap is somehow unique. And in my community, there is no soap making company that makes organic soap. Therefore, they use chemicals such as sulfuric acid that are harmful to the environment, and as we are using natural ingredients, making our soap to be friendly to the environment.
In addition, the ingredients used to make our soaps are the vegetable oil, which is the sunflower oil and the coconut oil. Another one is the potassium hydroxide. In my chemistry from 1, I learned that potassium hydroxide is a strong base, and in biology again, the vegetable oil contains the fatty acids in it, which are the building block. So the fatty acids will react with the potassium hydroxide to come up with the neutral solution, and the neutral solution we have is the soap. The future plans that we have is for large-scale production, whereby we need to sell our soap throughout the country, and also another future plan that we have is product development. This is where our products, we need to improve the quality of our product. Another future plans that we have is to make a natural organic bar soap.
What do you think is identity message?
soft, you know, it doesn't leave your hands feeling dry. So, and they should hire me as their marketer. So one thing I want to say, first, as I've said in the other teams, it's good that you are trying to address an issue, an incident that happened in your school. I think that's the whole point of innovation. You see a problem and you think, how can I fix this? And you know, it starts with trying to solve it in your school and then moving on to other issues. One thing I want to say is that issues of WASH generally are usually both in terms of maybe access to the resources such as the hand washing soap, but also social constructs and maybe communication. So I think as part of maybe your company or your project as you look forward, you'd want to look at how do you engage the community because it's trying to get behavior change. You could have the soap, but then people still won't wash their hands. So you want to look at aspects of communication, messaging, just how will you engage the community so that you get them to want to use your soap. And then I'd also think around, right now there's a big drive, especially for us ladies, around going organic and something that's good for my skin. So I think you'd also want to have really good marketing and messaging around that, just to tell me what are the benefits, why should I use your product, and I wish you all the best to that.
To test the soap. We're approaching lunchtime, and to maintain sanitation, we try out the soap before you go eat, okay? So I want to welcome our judges. We've come to the end of the presentations, and I must say I'm impressed and I'm really proud of you all. So I invite the judges, give you 2 minutes each to give an overall general feedback for all the participants and just a word of encouragement.
Thank you, Brenda. Well, like I said at the beginning, all of you have done impressive work, and I just repeat the same thing. Well done to all of you. I think we've seen good presentations all around, and you've had this from all the judges. The demos have been good and they've worked, which is something that is always very tricky in this kind of presentations. I'm also extremely impressed because apart from just doing the work and doing the presentation, you've also gone a step further and done some competitor analysis and even given some revenue models, which, coming from you who are still not just out there spending and using money, is something that is very impressive. I would encourage all of you to start testing your innovations or your products or service with a small group. So if it's an app, if it's the soap, get a few of your friends, 20 of your friends. Let them start using it and trying it out, and they'll give you feedback. Already that will enable you to improve the first iteration. I'm impressed by the focus on inclusivity. So the presentation we've seen of the keyboard that is done by the brain users, the website that is also targeting those with a low visual, that is impressive. I mean, to have that kind of coming in is very good, and I also congratulate the GMin team for focusing on this. For us guys who have been in tech for a while, I think we've seen that there have been more ladies, and for an event, for a technology event, that is very impressive. So well done, ladies, and keep that up. We mentioned this before, prepare well. When you get on stage, like I said, you need to manage the nerves. Things disappear, you have all this good stuff to tell us. So the only thing I would say to that is practice, 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 and when you think you're ready, practice again, because that's the only way you can prepare with that. We saw the Remedy team, when you go on there and you forget how your slides are moving. Sometimes when we're preparing the slides, you put the auto transition on the slides, but when you're going on the stage, it starts acting up and you're not sure how that will work. And something I think I also observed, I think if you look at all the presentations, all of them addressed, right now as a country we're looking at the big four, right? And if you look at all the presentations, whether it's on, there's an aspect of manufacturing, on health, and so on. So this is something that I mean, I also noticed, and I think it's very impressive that we're addressing something that for us as a society, as a country, we're looking at. So well done to all of you. For the GMin team, I'd say next time let's bring in other stakeholders into this kind of forum, because you know, we are doing what everybody else is saying they're trying to do, right? So you guys are already, again, miles ahead, and you're practicing it. So well done to all of you. Keep it up. Don't stop here. What we are giving you as judges is feedback. So use that and continue building on that. Thank you. It's no power.
There's no power.
All right. So just to echo what John has said, first, I think, I know I'm very proud of all the teams. You've done a great job. To the ladies and to the guys, thank you so much for coming to the stage and basically sharing your ideas. So one thing you should know is that everybody gets really nervous. If you ask me to go on stage right now, I'll probably also start shaking. So try to, before you go on stage, just stand aside and take a deep breath, because it's natural for you to be nervous. Stand aside, take a deep breath. There's something I was told to do your power bracelet, do your power bracelet. Just try and encourage yourself before you get on stage, because it's normal to be nervous, but just try and manage that. Take deep breaths, go on stage, have your points, and just try and relax as you present. Because remember that we don't know your story, you're the one who's telling us. So, there's no wrong or right answer. Whatever you tell us is what we believe you. So, to try to practice how to tell your story. And then there's something else I was taught around how to do your presentation. So, when you come into an audience, tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you just told them. So if you do that, it means that people get to actually remember what it is you're talking about. And then something else just around the grasp on your content. I think some of the teams had very great presentation skills, but you somehow weren't very clear on maybe what the content is, or what the details behind your idea were. So just try to make sure that when you come to present, you focus on dropping what are your main highlights, what do you want the audience to remember when they go home. But generally, as I said before, I'm very proud of the team, both the organizing team and the presentations, and I urge each and every one of the teams, please explore how you can go forward with your idea. Please reach out if you need support. I mean, if you need to be introduced to anyone, if you need to sit with any organization or company that's building a similar thing and learn how they're doing it, please don't let it die, because you all have very great ideas. It's been an honor to listen to all of them. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. It feels great to be back home, because this is where my innovation journey started. 3 years ago, I was a finalist, just like people who presented there. And I can attest that there is mega improvement. And I'm very, very excited to see this continue. From a presentation perspective, I think one of the key things I noted that all participants need to improve is partnerships. I realized that most of the slides didn't integrate who you can partner with to make your solution a reality, and in the world we're headed, it is important that we embrace collaboration. Then also in the PowerPoint presentations, the PowerPoint is just a tool to help you present, so continue practicing, and when you're making future presentations, continue practicing so that you can master your content. But what about the bigger picture for this? I love the fact that I had a couple of teams integrate these SDGs, Big 4 agenda, and because this is where we're headed. This is slogan the government has put, Buy Kenya, Build Kenya. We have seen quite a number of students, develop local manufacturing solutions, which is where we're headed. And I'm urging all the participants, even after the camp, all the lessons that you've learned, continue applying them, and don't give up on your ideas. Remember, an idea is as powerful as its execution.
So I'll try not to repeat what everyone has said, because I was nodding my head a lot, like yes, I agree. I'll just say, first of all, congratulations to everyone who has presented. I've also been in institutions where you have to present something, and even if you know it often, telling that to people can be a challenge. So it's very impressive at your age that you're thinking of these ideas, but you can articulate them into some sort of actualization. The main things I want to comment on is First of all, there was just a lot of good energy from the presenters. Even times when you fumbled, you pick yourself up and you continue the presentation. That is what life is about, not just giving up. And then the teamwork was really good. It's nice because we have different strengths to see different people presenting different things and coming together. So that was really great to see. And then just to also maybe repeat something that was said is problem solving. The problems were very things that were real and things you've experienced. A lot of people gave examples of my neighbor, myself, and that is what helps build good solutions when you can actually experience them. And then so the main thing I want all the teams to take away from this is the idea of sustainability is a big thing. I think I would urge you to think about your business model. An idea is good, but getting people to pay for the idea is now where the work is. And an easy way to do that is think, who is my market? How do I convince them to pay? Because we'll all nod and say, oh, that's a really good idea, but then when you start asking for the money, and like, I don't know. So how do you make them pay for it? And that's where your solution really gets to the next level. And then finally, something that everyone has said, this is not the end, this is just the beginning. And two things. Even if you don't take your idea to the next level, you've learned some skills during this 1 week, and you can take it to create another business or something else. But if you're really passionate about your idea, there are 4 people here and others in this room who are willing to help you execute your idea. So feel free to come, approach us, approach anyone else, talk to the GMin team, ask them, I saw this lady, I talked to this person, can I get connection with them? Because people really want to help. So yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, our wonderful judges. I think they have echoed what we've been telling you all week, and I hope some new things that we forgot to mention. So congratulations once again. You just made one more step ahead in your life. So clap for yourself. So to continue appreciating the effort you've made, the next session is where we're going to award you some pretty cool trophies. You guys remember the trip we went to the makerspace? Yeah. So we just didn't come back empty-handed. We have some trophies tailor-made from the makerspace for you guys. Okay? So I will invite our judges to help us present the trophies and the certificates. I think we have certificates for you too, to keep reminding you of the efforts you've made and to encourage you to continue with the journey as an innovator and a leader. So I have Melissa, I can see Kevin trying to help me. I'll call out one of the judges to present to every 2 teams. And just besides the trophies and the certificates, we have some additional awards for you to help you continue building upon your ideas. Some of you who want to learn programming, some of you who want to visit places to understand how you can build your projects. And we really try to listen to you and what your mentors suggested. So I hope the awards we've chosen for you will be helpful to you. And if you feel like you need more help beyond the awards we've given you, feel free to reach out, like we said. Our door is open. So are we ready? Okay, so I'll call up John, since let's break the rule of ladies first. For the photographer, Wongo, where would you like us to stand? Okay, as we get to the stage. So the first team to be awarded is Tumelo 4, and you get a tour to the Fab Lab winner in Kisumu so that you play to learn about how you can set up your soap making facility and how you can utilize it. When you come to the stage, please take some time pause so that we can take 9 school pics for our documentation, and also we'll be sending the pictures to you. So pause well so that you can get a good picture for yourself. For all the other schools, if any teachers and representatives are around and you also want to take a group photo, just feel free to move in front so that you can pose for your photo. So up next we have the remedies room heaters. We will have a tour for the Nairobi Innovation Week at the University of Nairobi, where you get to see what other people are working on and get to showcase your innovation. First up we have Doris Kelly. Don't worry, the technology is pretty simple. We'll fix it before you go home. There are very many technical people here, very many engineers. Don't worry. Up next, Caroline Batty. Remember to smile. So the next team is the team that already left, the 5 minds. They will be doing a presentation at DroidCon, which is organized by their mentor, actually, the second DroidCon in Kenya. So in their absentia, we celebrate them. Then we have Quicker. Yes, thank you for reminding me. Sharon. I think I'm too excited about this award. So Quick Help will tour the IBM Research Center at Catholic University to see some of the applications they're working on and who you can collaborate with to take your idea to the market. And I think we have a pretty good link right here, so be sure to us. And
Gloria Wainiri.
Susan Jardede. Next, we have Chacha Access Signals, who will be doing an Udemy online course of their choice, and will be paying for it so that they can learn. They say in their future plans they want to incorporate more programming languages, and this is perfect for them because they can learn a wide range of programming languages. So, Chacha Access teams, and I believe the teachers around can move forward as they take their group photo. Chacha Access Systems, just. First up, we have Charity Samba.